Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm here with three members of the Faculty of Applied Science who are going to share with you some of their amazing research and just some of the ways that engineers are making a difference and an impact in our world. This research is very often interdisciplinary, meaning that people from different engineering disciplines or different faculties, even like science and medicine, all are working together on it. Hopefully, these very short introductions to just some of the research happening in our faculty will give you better insight into the variety of topics a degree in engineering may allow you to explore. And engineering research and the application of this research really is truly changing our world for the better. So with that, I'll invite our first research spotlight to the stage. And at the end, you'll be able to use the Q&A in the stage to ask some questions.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Nozomu Yachie. I'm an associate professor and director of research at School of Biomedical Engineering, UBC. And my lab is working on technology development to study biology. And let me explain like this. So our body starts from single fertilized egg, and it divides into two. And from 2 cell, we're gonna make a 4 cell and 8 cell and 16 cells and so on. And problem in biology is that if you want to observe these mice, for example, tissue section, you have to kill these mice. These days, we can observe single cells in an animal body, but in order to observe what's going on in these single cells, you need to break and kill these single cells. So one common obstacle in biology is that at the time of observation, you need to kill objects. Therefore, you cannot see, what is going on dynamically in our animal body, including humans' body. So one crazy idea that we are working on is that making a miniature video camera system made of protein and RNA and DNA and embed that miniature video camera into the cell so that the camera can observe what is going on inside the cell and outside the cell and record such an information into hard drive. So what do we use for hard drive? We use DNA ATGC sequence because ATGC sequence of the DNA is a great digital storage media. So we record information to a tape of DNA. So at the time of observation, unfortunately, we still need to kill animals and single cells. But what we can do is we can retrieve the information of what was going on in the past from a tape of DNA and reconstruct the information, more in a dynamic way to study how animal develops or progress. So with the analogy of video camera system, we got to work on many different engineering efforts. So first, like we need to make a synthetic DNA tape within the cell where we need to put many synthetic DNA sequences to native mouse chromosome. Or these days we work on human pluripotent stem cells, but we need to insert many synthetic DNA tape. In order to sense what is going on inside a cell and outside of the cells, we need to make many sensors. It's more like the molecular sensors made of proteins and RNAs. But once you sense the information, you need to transmit that information to a tape of DNA. Therefore, you need to develop a writer system. There we work on the development of genome editing technologies. But the most important part is that once you record information to a tape of DNA, you need to retrieve what was going on in the past from the sequence of ATGC. So in order to reconstruct biological history information from a DNA tape, we develop many new algorithms and also high performance computing technologies to do that. So maybe you can see that, it's a simple idea and it probably sounds like sci-fi a little bit, but it's getting there, and we also need very different efforts of engineering to achieve that. So I'll show you a little example. So this is how we are injecting synthetic DNA circuits, or the DNA encoding a miniaturized video camera system to mouse egg. and you basically make engineered mice embryo. And if you develop that in a mouse body, you get this kind of engineered mouse embryo. In this case, we encoded lots of the red flow for encoding protein. But you can see this is embryonic day 11.5 embryo, and this is placenta and yolk sac, and you can nicely engineer animal body with the synthetic DNA circuit, something like this. Another effort is that in order to accelerate this type of like a synthetic engineering of animal body, we often use our hands, but at the same time, we somehow need to accelerate our research cycle or experimental cycle. So we often automate these experiments, and this is one of the typical robot that we can use. It's a humanoid, and the nice thing about this robot is by allocating regular experimental equipment, which is usually in our lab, you kind of allocate these equipments surrounding around the robot and program it so that it can operate these equipment, and we can automate these experiments. So yeah, this is my last slide. This is my lab, and we have great people, including undergraduate student. So in my lab, even an undergraduate student, they are part of the team and kind of treated professionally to progress the biology world forward together. That's it. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. One quick question that did come in, if you could elaborate on what engineering program you are with and maybe what some of the programs people in your lab have done.
Yeah, so I am in the School of Biomedical Engineering, which is combining biology and engineering, especially cell engineering and genetic engineering. And we also have like many clinicians as a lecturers in our program. So we kind of integrate medicine and biology and engineering all together.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So stick around and we'll do a Q&A with everyone at the end. So I'm going to bring on our next researcher. So, all right, so you're good to start.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am Professor Sumi Siddiqua from School of Engineering, and I am the leader of the Geomaterial Research Lab. So today I'm going to present my research highlight on the waste to value-added products and carbon capture technology. So what we are working on, we are looking into different industrial byproduct as a waste. It goes to landfill at this moment, and we are working on to find out a value-added product from that and trying to innovate some recycling activities and make a material that can be used for carbon capture. So some of the waste that we are currently working on is from the pulp and paper mill industry, and they have different types of waste products produced from different locations in BC and all over Canada. So we have identified 3 different types of waste that can be really useful for us, and which are the precipitated fly ash, multi-clone fly ash, and bottom ash. So what happens at this moment that minimum of 1 million tons of ash produced per year in Canada, and usually that goes to landfill, and it costs around $20 to $50 per tons of disposal. So industries are trying to find a solution for this waste product so that they don't have to pay for this landfill, disposal cost from their pocket, and also from the environmental point of view, we want to save the space in landfill. We want to keep it for other solid waste that we cannot recycle. So we have identified in our research group that we can use this ash, 3 type of ash that I just mentioned. We can use that soil binder, soil fertilizer and conditioner, compost odor eliminator, and construction materials. So some of our research work that we have achieved so far, we have tried this ash product in the road construction, and this is the site in the Kamloops landfill site. And then we have also used lightweight construction materials based on this waste. So this is called rammed earth, which is a lightweight construction materials that can be used for not load bearing walls. So not for a high density materials, but the lightweight weight material. And we are also trying to use some chemical treatment for this ash product from the industry. And all this ash that we are collecting, we are using some chemical methods, making a geopolymer. That geopolymer work as a carbon mineralization. So what happens with the fly ash chemicals and also the water present and carbon dioxide produce a compound called calcium carbide, and which is a strong material that brings strength to the construction material that I was just talking about. Some of our applications that we use this geopolymer for 3D printing, making lightweight concrete blocks. That blocks can be used for different applications. Use this fly ash for road construction, soil stabilization, and also for the forest soil stabilization. This is another important area that we are also looking into because when there is wildfire, the soil gets burned, and that burned soil loses all nutrition present in there. So what we are trying to do, we are stabilizing those soils so that we can have afforestation at those sites. So key environmental and economical benefits. Industrial waste will no longer end up in landfill, which will save money for the industry, but it will serve to capture the carbon dioxide produced. It is a win-win situation. And turn waste into reusable raw materials for using an alternative cement in concrete mortar products, road surfaces for soil stabilization. Developed products have superior quality compared to conventional materials with improved chemical and physical characteristics in carbon dioxide capture point of view. So the major challenges we are handling based on our research is extreme weather and climate change. Building strategies and materials must be climate resilient, tailored to suit the future climate changes. Environmental consideration, that is recycled industrial byproducts, offer many potential environmental benefits, but also has impacts. Limiting the impacts such as GHG emissions and potentially toxicity will be the key to the industry success. Economic factors, economic viability of recycled industrial byproducts rest in part on its potential value as a carbon offset. So that's how I'm just going to end, and I would like to um, have opportunity to answer any questions. Thank you all for listening.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So just a reminder to all of our students that you can upvote questions in the Q&A and that you can ask questions for any of our presenters right now. So I don't see any questions just yet specifically to this presentation, but we will bring everyone back on screen at the end to answer any other questions that do come up. So I'm going to invite our last presenter onto screen right now. All right, so Lisa, you're welcome to go ahead.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so I'm Dr. Lisa Tobber. I am an assistant professor in the School of Engineering in the Okanagan under Civil Engineering program. I was a first-year engineering transfer college student, and I transferred directly into second-year Bachelor of Applied Science and Civil Engineering at UBC Vancouver. I started doing research in my second year of my undergraduate degree, and I am now an assistant professor at UBC School of Engineering. So I think it's important to note that a lot of your professors are research faculty, some of the ones you met today. And so what that means is they spend a significant time in the classroom teaching you all the new concepts, but also a significant time doing research, publishing journal papers and advancing science. In addition to that, we spend a lot of time in the community and doing outreach activities and service activities. And just another kind of note here is that you'll see UBC professors coming up in all the different newspaper articles when any major global events occur. And so I want to talk now a little bit about my research. So first off, I'm a scientist that works in a lab, but I don't do this. So usually you think of a scientist, you think of someone looking at a microscope. What I actually do is I work with specimens that are in the range of 10 to 50 tons. So this is me and my PhD work where I've developed a new high-rise reinforced concrete core wall where we're trying to analyze it to see how it can resist earthquakes and to develop earthquake-proof tall buildings. And here is a picture of the lab. And so this is a lab in Shanghai, China, where we were doing our test. And essentially up there at the bottom are large steel tables that shake and simulate earthquakes. And so basically what I'm focused on is how to make structures survive natural disasters. And so the way we currently design for buildings and natural disasters, our current building code, is we design for the building to not collapse, but to preserve life. And so similar design philosophies are used in places like New Zealand, where the Christchurch earthquake occurred. And so the picture on the left is actually showing the Christchurch, New Zealand, shortly after the earthquake. So most of the buildings are still standing. A few buildings, unfortunately, did collapse. But the picture on the right is a few years later, where over 70% of the business district was demolished after the earthquake. And we use similar design philosophies here in Canada, where we design the buildings to be damaged, which has huge implications for after a natural disaster. And we have significant seismic hazard over in the west coast of BC, where the last Cascadia subduction event occurred before we started urbanizing and creating our brilliant cities. And the estimated cost of an earthquake is $75 billion within BC. And I don't think the animations are occurring here, but basically Vancouver particularly has a huge number of tall buildings. Vancouver was 5th in number of tall buildings in North America. So my research really focuses on how do we create these tall buildings to not be damaged. And this is just depicting how a building would be damaged within an earthquake. The central reinforced concrete core wall in the center of the building is what absorbs the earthquake energy. But I've been doing research and seeing how we can add shock absorbers, add new devices to make those buildings damage-free. In addition to, on the topic of sustainability, our tall buildings are also contributing significantly. Our whole construction industry is contributing significantly to environmental impact and carbon emissions. Building materials and the construction industry accounts for about 11%. So part of my research program is investigating how we can use more sustainable materials in conjunction with reinforced concrete in order to make high-rise buildings that are more sustainable. And of course, the center of all of that, in order to make sure that our new technology, our green materials, our new construction methods are safe, we have to investigate the structural engineering research, which is what I do. And I'm just going to finalize, what does it mean to be taught by a researcher at UBC? Based on my own experience as a student at UBC, but also now as a professor. So the first thing is UBC professors are often the first to know what happens, or they're learning from their research and they're immediately implementing it into their classes. So after the Chilean earthquake, several UBC researchers went to Chile, investigated some of the damage, and immediately reported back in their classes, started changing the way they were teaching and updating the design codes real time. It also means that when we learn, you learn. So as we learn things from our simulations and our experimental tests, we'll integrate that into our teaching. At UBC, you're taught by the experts. You're often literally taught by the person who wrote the book. Many of our professors sit on code committees. They're actually writing the codes that dictate how we design all the buildings within Canada. And you get, as a UBC undergraduate student, like me, when I was an undergraduate student, you get the opportunity to do research within your undergraduate degree and learn what research is and how to build things and how to discover new science as an undergraduate student. We work with government and industry to solve problems, and we bring those government and industry folks within our classroom. And finally, we're all lifelong learners. And so I'm just going to complete my presentation here with the invitation to come and learn with us. And again, I do apologize if there's any technical difficulties here. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lisa. I'm going to remove your slides. I'm going to invite all of our other researchers to join us back on the screen, and we'll open up the Q&A. So there's a couple questions coming in about just what is everyone's specific field of study. So maybe if you could just reiterate what program you're from, what campus you're from, and what kind of your really like what your lab would be kind of all about in less than one sentence maybe. So Nozomu, if you can go again, just remind everyone what program you're with and what your specific field of research would be considered.
Yeah, so I'm in the biomedical engineering and specific field. That's very interesting question because I'm in a pretty interdisciplinary field where we integrate biology, computer science, and also engineering. So in our program, we teach like all of these aspects to be integrated.
Perfect. I think that's a great explanation. And again, just shows how interdisciplinary a lot of our engineering fields are and that many different areas work together to kind of discover these different things. Sumi, do you want to reiterate that for the group, please?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm from Civil Engineering, School of Engineering, UBC Okanagan campus. I work with materials, environment, microorganisms. So I'm also very interdisciplinary in my research. My lab called Geomaterial Research Lab in our campus. Thank you.
Perfect. And Lisa, I'll just get you to share one more time with everyone.
Yeah, so I'm a civil engineer. So that would be the program I did in my undergraduate degree. And then I specialized in structural engineering in my PhD. And my research would be around earthquake engineering, high-rise buildings, reinforced concrete buildings, and construction.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for sharing that. So one of the questions, just looking through to pick out the ones that haven't been answered yet or that are related to this session. So for Nozomu, do you use CRISPR as the genome editing technology is one of the questions?
Yes, I would say we are the world leader of the CRISPR development.
Excellent. Very cool. For Lisa, what was your favorite part while doing your civil engineering degree?
The favorite part, oh my goodness, there's so many things. I think I did like doing the undergraduate research part. I mean, obviously, I guess I became a professor. So I think that it's really cool to actually build things and then see them break. I think that's the neat thing you do in engineering. It's not just building it, it's actually understanding how it will break and how it will behave in a natural disaster, because you don't just, that's not intuitive. It's not intuitive how a building is going to collapse within an earthquake. So it's a much more challenging problem, and we get to see a little bit of that in the lab. So I think that was probably what excited me the most when I was in civil.
Awesome, thank you. And I think maybe our last question, so I think that this is for Sumi, but when do you think carbon capture technology will be ready to use at a large scale? Is that a question you can answer?
There are a lot of research currently going on in a small scale and a big scale. So small scale, a lot of things are happening. People are replacing cement day by day. The percentage of use of other material instead of cement is higher. So that indirectly contributing to the carbon capture technology. So I say that it's progressing, and when it will be, large scale happening, I'm optimistic. So I would say between 3 to 5 years from now.
Awesome. So huge thank you to all of you. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your research with our students here today so that they can explore some of the many different fields of engineering that they can study or work in or do research in the future. So thank you to all of our researchers here tonight. Huge thank you. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you do with our students.